And the House has voted to pass a bipartisan bill that could lead to a nationwide ban of TikTok.
On this vote, the yeas are 352, the nays are 65. One present, 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed. And without the objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. Okay.
Lawmakers have been raising concerns about TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, warning that the app could give the Chinese government access to the data of millions of Americans, including browsing history and location. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins me now, along with ABC's Jay O'Brien on Capitol Hill, ABC's Elizabeth Schulze, and ABC News contributor, Google Tech Policy Fellow Mike Muse. Jay, this bill now heads to the Senate, where its fate is uncertain. What are you hearing from lawmakers about that?
Well, look, this was a very significant bipartisan vote on the House floor, 352 yay votes. That puts a lot of pressure on the Senate and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to take some kind of action on this bill because of how big that margin was. And we just saw moments ago, after this bill passed, two pretty significant members of the Senate, the chair and vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner and Marco Rubio, formally endorsed this legislation. So that carries a lot of weight when you talk about trying to force Chuck Schumer, or at least push Chuck Schumer, to put this bill on the floor for a vote. Again, what's in this legislation, just to be clear, is it would seek to force a sale of TikTok from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, within 6 months if the legislation becomes law. And only if that sale does not occur could TikTok then be banned on app stores and on web hosting services and things of that nature. So TikTok is calling this legislation a ban. Champions of this legislation, again, Republicans and Democrats alike, are saying that this is a forced sale, and only if ByteDance doesn't act, if this becomes law, could the app be banned.
So, Elizabeth, what's the likelihood here that ByteDance does sell?
Well, and this is going to be the question is, A, does it pass the Senate? Does this legislation get through Congress ultimately? And then B, can this get through the legal hurdles to get for China to allow the sale to happen? That's an outstanding question. And then what would that actually look like, Diane? We haven't really seen this kind of a sale that's been forced from the U.S. In the past, there have been instances where the government has said a Chinese company needs to cut ties, but that's been a complete sale of the company. What we're talking about here is really just the U.S. business splitting off from the Chinese owner, ByteDance. And that raises a whole host of questions. What the law itself would look like if it does go into effect is that the app would no longer be available on the App Store or on Google Play. Eventually, that would make it impossible for users to use. You couldn't keep updating the app like you would need to, and it wouldn't be available on websites. But this is undoubtedly going to raise some questions about free speech. We have seen the small amount of lawmakers who voted against it today say this has the First Amendment questions that have been raised. We've seen that already raised in courts. So questions about what happens in Congress and then what happens from there in the legal process, too.
And Selena, President Biden's campaign joined TikTok last month, but then on Friday he said he would sign a bill to ban TikTok if it did pass. How is the White House addressing what appears to be some mixed messaging there?
Yeah, Diane, I mean, the White House really struggles to answer that question. Just yesterday, I said, if the president's so concerned about the national security risks, why is his campaign posting on it? But look, the White House also trying to frame this, as you heard what Jay and Elizabeth say, saying it's not an outright ban. It would force a sale. But the reality is it would face a lot of legal challenges if it got through the Senate, was signed by the president, and China would likely block it because it would need the Chinese government's approval. And Diane, we've been in this exact place before throughout the years where they've tried to force a sale on TikTok, and it just didn't work. But after that 2020 attempt from Donald Trump to get it banned, China actually changed its regulations so that it actually bars the export of certain technologies, including technologies like the algorithm that underpins TikTok. So the question of where it goes from here could be a long road ahead. And Diane, to set this into context, this is really just the latest shoe to drop in the broader U.S.-China technology Cold War, the effort to try and split off sensitive technologies from each other. The U.S. has banned giant Huawei telecommunications firm from the United States, but to move into the arena of apps and software behind export controls on chips and telecommunications, that would have a sweeping effect because there are many Chinese companies that are influential in the software space in the United States.
So, Mike, what are you watching for as this bill now heads to the Senate?
So many things, but Diane, this is a dream team panel. I'm so excited for this conversation. In particular, I want to give attribution to Selena's excellent reporting. She mentioned in our other break something that really underscores the frustration that I have with this bill and with this Congress. She mentioned the Chinese app Temu and Shein. Temu was one of the largest advertisers for commercials during the Super Bowl that averaged over 120 million views. Temu had an ad in almost every single quarter of it, to which it became a trending topic on social media of how much money Temu has to keep marketing to us. Temu is a marketplace-based app where lots of U.S. customers go on and buy products. And when they're buying the products, they're putting our credit card information down, their home address, telephone numbers, our whereabouts. And it's also, too, the algorithm is reading our consumer pattern behaviors. And there's already so much apps in that Chinese owns that can get so much access to our data, which underscores the performative nature of Congress that makes Americans so frustrated that Congress isn't doing the difficult task of understanding the nuance of how these social media platforms actually work. And that's a challenge because the technology is moving so fast that is a complete in opposition to how Congress works at a very slow pace. So Congress is going to have to change its operational process in order to keep up with the pace of innovation and technology to really create legislations that address the issues. But that is the hard work and not performative nature.
All right, Selena Wang, Jay O'Brien, Elizabeth Schelsey, Mike Muse, thank you.